Hey there, everyone. It's Cassandra from CassandraTyndall.com. And today I'm really excited to be presenting to you Hilary Spiteri. So Hilary joined the WellBeing Astrology team for the 2023 edition. So as you probably know, I'm bringing a lot of astrologers onto my channel to discuss all of their fabulous work in this, which is the Australian WellBeing Astrology Guide that has, hit the shelves here in Australia. And how you can get that, I'll pop details in the description box below. So the edition has, as you can see, it's a very thick magazine. It's almost like a little book. And we have articles from astrologers from around the globe, including Hilary. We've got Alicia Youssef. We've got Nathan Theonaker from South Africa. We've got Kelly Surtees, Wade Caves, Drew Levanti, and plenty more. And there are 2023 horoscopes written by me. So it's all here in the WellBeing Astrology Guide. So today we're here to introduce Hilary to the channel, and she wrote a wonderful article all about the sun and your vital life force from the perspective of medical astrology. So to get started, Hilary, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey into astrology?
Okay, so thank you for having me. It's an honor. Besides being nervous, it's an honor. So
Oh, don't be
I try
nervous.
to I try to enjoy it. And I'm sorry if there are some glitches in internet, but I'm with a flying wire internet data because I'm waiting for everything to be put in place for my technology. But with
Awesome.
Mercury retrograde and all the stuff, yeah. So my journey in astrology was something that I wasn't expecting in my life. And I had everything planned for another type of career. But then the cosmos decided that somehow, for the second time in my life, my career changed. So I've graduated in 1996 as a pharmacist from the University of Malta. And then I emigrated in Italy and I started a specialized degree in pharmaceutical chemistry and industry with a specialization in biotechnology. And it was during that time that I discovered homeopathy. And you say, what's with astrology? Because that was the key that opened a whole vast of universe that I didn't know. I wasn't ever pleased as much as I was in an academic career, or which how we cure or help people get their health back or be in equilibrium, because it seemed you gave a drug for a symptom but you never cured the root of where the disease was. So I never liked it, and I've tried with all. I specialized more in herbs and whatever. Both my theses are on that, but it was only through homeopathy that I said, okay, so there is another world. It is possible. It is possible to find the root of things, of the disease, and treat the person as an individual signature of the divine. And I studied homeopathy. I have both diplomas, and can you stop?
Yeah, I can still hear you. Yep. Coming through loud and clear.
Yeah, can you stop it a little bit?
Yeah. So if you're wondering like what happened just there, is that Hilary's doorbell rang, and we were expecting the internet modem thingy that you were expecting to improve your internet, as Mercury is about to like leave, almost in Kazemi territory. We're like, finally, maybe it's here. But it was a false alarm.
But
So
it
maybe
was a false alarm.
oh
So
well. Maybe, well, we just thought
Okay.
that was too good to have to edit out, particularly as you're in a third house perfection as well.
Yes, yes. When
Yeah.
everything is in movement, you never
Yes,
know.
correct.
As you said in your YouTube video, it's where the gods speak at the end of the day, you know, when the goddess speaks. So you never know where fate is going to take you.
Yes, this is it.
So
But it wasn't to the internet this time around.
it's for us to explain what the third house is all about.
I love it. So let's get back to
Okay.
you had an epiphany when you discovered
With
homeopathy.
homeopathy.
Yeah.
And so I studied homeopathy. I graduated in homeopathy, but I can't practice here in Italy because as a homeopath, you have only to be an MD. And then astrology came later when I started reading some books. And my ex-partner at the time got into astrology, and for Saint Valentine's, I gifted 3 books of astrology, which was of Arroyo, the elements and whatever, and gave them to her. And so the bedtime stories were at the time was, oh, look at this and read this and whatever. And I said, okay. At a certain point, I said, okay, now what is it all about if you're so enthusiastic about it? And I started reading astrology books. And but my idea was that if I was going to go into astrology, it was going to be for medical reasons, because that's what that's how my life is geared, and
Yes.
it's a one way, and I can't get out of it. And so I started reading and studying it, and formally I started studying it at the Faculty of Astrology in December, I think 11th December 2012. And that I never looked back, but I wasn't pleased with modern astrology. It's a personal thing. It's not because it's not worth the thing, but I was still looking for someone to teach me medical astrology. And that was my constant. Everything I've studied for astrology was always to bring it back to medicine. And that's how I ended up here. My ambitious idea is to bring back astrology to medicine as how it always was, because we are part of the cosmos, and the greatest sin mankind has ever done is thinking that we are separate from all of the rest.
Yeah, love it. And I definitely think that there's quite an advantage to the last 2 years where people perhaps may be looking for other ways of helping their bodies. So astrology provides a really good a brilliant sort of blueprint for like an entry level into some kind of treatment plan, if you like. So when we look to illness and problems, we often look to the 6th house, its ruler, and the like. But in your article, you've really shone light on the sun, if that's possible.
So pun intended.
Yeah. Thank you. So we've done that, and I would love for you to speak to like why the sun, like what is the sun, and what does that bring from a medical astrology perspective?
So I chose the sun for a practical reason, because not everybody knows their natal chart. And sometimes it is impossible to have the natal chart because not everybody knows the hour they were born, or they have been adopted and they don't know. It happened to me as well. So I said, okay, so someone can relate. I mean, if you're not really in when the day is changing of the sun, so we're not really aware, like we're having in the next 24 hours, we don't know if you're on one side or the other. The sun is the easiest to get to. And so I use that for a practical reason. But it is also something that we can connect easily to, because the sun there is, I can't remember who said it, but it's like as the sun is the pulsing force, the energy force of our solar system, then so the sun is what it is, the pulsing force, the sun in our natal chart is the pulsing force for all of our natal chart. So if we connect to that, we already know what we're looking at.
Yeah.
And the sun is where we put the focus on, right? So where
Yeah.
we're putting our divine essence. But if we look at it medically, it's what the energy, the allotted energy that we have been given. So there are seasons on Earth, and the sun represents those seasons. So what the ancient astrologers have always said is being proved
Yeah.
by cosmobiology, we could call it that way, that people born in a certain season have a certain predisposition for certain illnesses, or vice versa, they have strengths. So I said, why not explore that?
Yeah.
Does
And
that
that's what
answer the
you've done.
question?
Yes. And that's what you've done so well in this article, is that you've not only really beautifully described the idea of that sort of the divine spark embodied in a way, there's that sort of imprint of that, but you've also sort of described, you know, some of the kind of like psychological or psyche components of the sign, as well as some of the physical ailments and strengths. But also, not only that, you've also given some, you know, obviously generalized advice on how to supplement and to support, you know, that solar energy, you know, through whether it's, you know, increase of fatty acids, or avoid this, or take more of
Yeah.
that, or you know, be near water more. So you've given some really good tips that can give people an entry point into how to take, you know, better care of their solar energy, which is really helpful as well. So for people, you know, what would be the next step, you know, if they're wanting to perhaps explore their sun? You know, what other components of their chart would you recommend people explore more to learn more about? Okay, well, I can take care of the sun in some way, but what would, you know, how would the moon factor in, for instance?
Okay, so the three most important, besides then we have to analyze all the chart, is the ascendant, the sun, and the moon.
Yeah.
Now, the moon would be how you would bring that light force, that the energy allotted in everyday life. It's your, so if the ascendant is the wire where the electricity passes through, and the resistance that it has to the life force, because that's the moment of entry,
Yeah.
in this realm that is defined by time and space, and that's the point, that's the resistance. Then the moon is the battery of how we use that energy.
Yeah.
It's how you pace it in time. So they have to go together. So you might have a sun super energetic, like a sun in Aries, but then you have a slower moon. And that comes, and that can be problematic until you learn how to use it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So it's like matching the engine of the car with the body of the car.
Yes, yes, in a way,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah. I took my son to a monster truck show recently, and this tiny little like the Toyota Yaris, like a Yaris, they may not have those in Europe.
Oh
but,
yeah, Yaris,
yeah.
yeah.
But just a very small hatchback. And they literally
Mhm.
put a jet engine in this tiny car. Oh my God. It was pretty spectacular, very hot. But yeah, so this is the idea, right? You sort of
Yeah.
want to, you know, find, you know, if you're one of those people that sort of is running with a jet engine in a body that can't really keep up with that level of power, you need to learn how to pace yourself.
Yeah, like in a computer analogy, you might have a huge hard disk. Oh, hello.
Yeah. For those with the sixth house, dominant sixth house, he's my cat.
Hello. Oh, he's Winston.
That's Winston. Yes,
Hello, Winston.
the people's
Yeah.
cat. Yeah. So you
Okay.
were saying, Hilary?
So yeah, it's like for the computer analogy, you have a great battery, but then the CPU is not up to
Yes.
standard. Or
Yes, I did have that once with a custom built laptop. It was a great graphics card, but not the battery to support it. So I could never use it as a laptop because it had to be plugged in all the time. So that's a really good point, to sort of, balance those energies of the sun and the moon there. A bit of distraction from Winston. Normally he just gazes into the camera and squinty eyes it, but not today.
Because he knows I would adore him, so that's why he's there.
Oh gee, he's determined to get some attention.
Of course.
So yeah, I'm loving this. And so, for the next steps for people to perhaps explore, these dynamics in, their chart and their lives, is this something that you offer like as a medical astrology consultations and guide people in more practical ways to do that? So this is part of what you offer in astrology, like a specialty, if you like.
Yeah, specialty.
Yeah.
It would be looking at the chart from the constitution part from a constitutional lens, but it's not only physical, because we live in a world that we tend to separate the various aspects of our identity.
Yeah.
So we have the psychological and the mental and the body and the esoteric, but hey, they're all together. So one of my pet statements is that psychology is the daughter of its times, because it's the daughter of science, more modern science, because you don't need to have separate psychology when then you have to look at the whole person.
Yeah.
So that's why in the article there is as well the psychological part, because it's part it one informs the other. You can't separate them.
No. And this is the beauty of using the astrology as an entry point, because you get that short circuit, to go back to electricity. You get the short circuit straight to the point. You don't have to, you just look at the chart and it will give you a lot of information about, where people's constitutions and natural dispositions are towards things.
Yeah, I mean, with a Mars conjunct Sun, you can't expect the person to tell them, calm down. You can't give them drugs because they're hyperactive. You don't. That's killing the person.
Yeah.
You can advise them that they need to take Mars out regularly before being autodestructive. So you won't expect that some Mars a person that is going to be placid and not reacting to the world around them. You can't. So hyperactivity can be seen even from there as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and you sort of don't want to necessarily make them cold, but you at least want to cool them down, as
you harness the engine. You get to know your Ferrari, and you know which fuel you have to put and what you don't, and when you have to take it to the mechanic to be seen, and what oil and all that stuff.
Yeah, all these third house things that we've kind of just got into for modes of transport with medical astrology. Well, it's been so fabulous to speak with you, Hilary. So do you have a website where people can explore more about medical astrology and the services and offerings that you've got? So what's your website?
My website is www.aquafortisastrology, and it's ACQ.
Okay, so we'll have links down below. So there's no confusion there. And so you're based in Italy?
Yeah, I live in Italy. Yes. it's not that romantic as it seems, but yes, I'm where Hellenistic astrology was brought.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. I just love what you have to offer in the sense of, obviously you have the, mainstream, in inverted commas, more modern education, but you're bringing this, you're on our team now, if you if you like, in terms of the astrology and the homeopathy, and there's such a beautiful, perfect partner, aren't they? The way that they work together.
Yes, although I always try and find different modes of healings, because people respond, going back to the sun, to the moon, and to the ascendant, to different modes of healing. There are persons that have dense energy, and it's not a question of offense. They have dense energy. So you need something to move the boulder with, something big.
Yeah, and they need
sometimes.
a firecracker.
Yeah. So you need a different way when someone has a very subtle energy that the flame uses a rarefied fuel. And so you have to pay attention. If you use the firecracker, as you said, then you risk to kill the person or lose the person.
Yeah, for sure. I love it. It's, singing to the choir. And funny story, actually, when I was very early in my astrological studies, sort of about halfway through, and my astrology teacher actually passed away. And so I felt kind of, oh, maybe this isn't the way for me to go forward. And, I did a lot of short courses, weekend workshops and the like, in homeopathy, because then I just kind of went into that direction, because I thought, oh, well, I'll just go to the other thing that I was thinking about doing. But anyway, it didn't quite happen. But I do have a keen interest in those types of things. And I just think it's magic. It's so good. And, the more people that can be educated on these, methods and ways of interacting with the cosmos, not only just in our charts and the pieces of paper that we work with in our software, but embody it in our health and our habits, and really imbue those attributes of the chart and support our bodies and minds and spirits in all of those ways. It's wonderful stuff.
It's that what I usually do in a consultation, even if it's not strictly medical. I always bring the energies down to earth and give people something to do with their hands, or rituals in daily life.
Yeah.
Because what is ritual? And you did it, you explained it well in the YouTube video. It's bringing the sacredness in everyday life, and that even if you don't feel like doing it opens a connection, a door, and an awareness, which the modern world has geared us not to consider. And if you don't consider it, then you're open for manipulation from the outside.
Welcome to 2022, everyone.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know what we're talking about with my video that Hilary has referenced a couple of times, it's actually a webinar I did for the Nightlight Astrology Speaker Series with Achuta Bava. And I have shared that on my channel. So I will pop a link in the description box below. And it's all about the third and ninth houses, which the third is one of my favorites, although I wouldn't have said that, pre-Saturn return, given that Saturn's there. But it is, I think it's one of those houses that we really do just tend to gloss over, overlook. But when you can really, work with that, it can be really helpful. And it's interesting too that we bring up this third house, because obviously that's where you're positioned right now, but more so there can be some confusion a little bit between the sixth and the third as houses, obviously both very cadent, and do have links to rituals, daily habits, routines. They're both kind of interlinked like that. But I guess, now that we're talking and we're kind of discussing it, I'm wondering if the sixth can be a little bit more about the problems that we have, physically, or in terms of, the labor and servitude. And then the third house can be a real gateway to remediation of some of those things with maybe better habits or better rituals that also have that kind of spiritual moon component, obviously with the moon finding its joy there too. So, how we can support the body through whatever is suggested by our third house.
So the difference would be seen even by what the third and the sixth, how they are configured to the ascendant, so to the helm of it all. So the sixth is in a position, it's not seen by the ascendant. So we, as how we enter life, we don't see that one. It's when we're, that dark corner that you never speak because you can't arrive, or you have to really. So when they ask me the description of the sixth, it is what you have to do daily to keep your health in balance. That is the weak point. That is the entry of disease.
Yeah. It's like the hits you take, in a sense.
Yes. The 8 is the death crisis. Those are the really strong ones. And the 7th is where that occurs. And the 12th is the spiritual hygiene. So you need both of them, right? So the 6th is your body hygiene. It's how you anchor yourself here in life. And by body, we even say whatever it's linked to the physical body. The physical body is here because there is an energy field that keeps it. So let's keep that in mind. It's not all molecules, but something that informs those molecules to be there. So the 6th is there, and it is the joy of Mars. So you have to sweat it.
And it's a battle.
And the 12th, which is the spiritual hygiene, guess what? That's the joy of Saturn, the boundaries, knowing where you stop manipulation coming in, which can be of many things. The 3rd is the joy of the moon. So it's when it's the joy of living, of being embodied, even if it means chaos, like the postman literally
coming during our little chat. Yes, I know.
Yeah, it's been 6 days he didn't ring the bell, but what, today? Really? All right, okay, fine.
Oh, love it. We couldn't plan this. The stuff you can't make up. If it only had have been your internet thing, it would have been perfect. It would have been, filed under the things you can't make up with astrology.
Well, it did give us a way to open a gateway to explain the different houses. So the goddess has spoken.
It always, exactly. Sometimes the tangents that we go on is where the richness lies.
Beautiful.
Why, thanks.
You should write them and then put mugs for them. Or t-shirts. I would buy one.
What did I say? What did I say again?
Oh, you have the recording.
Luckily, I come out with these Cassisms and then I can never remember what they are. But anyway, that's the joys of Gemini rising. Anyway, everyone, I'm glad that you have joined us, and thank you so much for your fabulous work for the WellBeing Astrology 2023. And I hope that everyone who has watched this video has enjoyed it as much as I have chatted with you. And you have, if you've not come across Hilary before, you are now aware of the great offerings she has in our community. So thank you for being here and taking time out of your day to watch us laugh and talk astrology. Oh, this has been fun. But anyway, we're going to stop now and we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.